Hello, I am Boom Boom Swish, and today I have a reading of a creepypasta for you. This creepypasta is titled The Lottery. Charles Winster lived in a small town in an uncharted area on the map of Montana. It was the mid-1980s during the fall of November. Each year the town would hold a lottery with a wealthy winning amount. But strangely, hardly anyone had ever played the lottery and tried to make it big. In fact, no one had played the lottery for years now. When Charles heard this, his face went into a deep confusion. Why would no one play the lottery for years? Charles asked. That's like a man getting a pet dog and forgetting to feed it for months. Charles was determined to win the lottery and claim the big prize. He walked all the way to the gas station in Midtown, the Reel and Fill. He was just about to walk in, but a man stopped him. The man was old, wrinkly, and hunched over. The short and elderly man looked up at Charles with his cracking and raspy voice and asked Charles, "You're not going to get that lottery ticket, are you?" Charles was discouraged and swiped away the old man's bony hand. "This lottery has been waiting too long for anyone to have it. I must have it," yelled Charles. Charles went in and bought a lottery ticket, writing down these numbers: 52, 50, 28, 27, 15, and 12. He handed it to the cashier with a grunt. As he was leaving, he yelled, If nobody's gonna try, then I'll have it." A week later, Charles turned on his radio to the station where it announces the winner of the lottery. The announcer spoke, "And after years without playing, the lottery has finally been tried. The only participants' numbers were 52, 50, 28, 27, 15, 12. The winner of the lottery, please call 3162-8146. Charles immediately grabbed his telephone and dialed the number in. "Hello, I'm the lottery winner. I'd like to accept the winnings, sir." Charles was excited, with a huge grin on his face, jumping up and down, knowing that he won a lot of money. "Okay, sir, your winnings are $666,999. Charles had a sudden chill after hearing the 666 involved in the winnings. "What? Repeat the winnings again, please," Charles said with a frightened tone. 6669. The phone call was suddenly cut off. Charles heard a glass break. He jolted, dropping his phone and running to the place where he heard the glass break. He went into the kitchen and saw it was a picture of his family that fell on the floor. All the picture's glass was cracked except for one area. It was all cracked around Charles. Charles' hair stood on end. He picked up the shattered memory and examined it. He threw the picture down in fear for what he saw. He saw that his face was actually melting in the photo. Charles called his parents. He was frantically speaking. "Come on, come on, come on," he kept saying. It connected, but it wasn't his parents. It was a breathing, a deep, creepy, chilling breathing. "Mom, Dad, please tell me you're all right." He stopped. It was disconnected mid-sentence. His emotions were running wild. Rage, fear, sorrow, confusion. You name it, he had it. Charles had no time to ponder. He immediately grabbed his coat and went back to the old man at the shop. The old man looked up and saw Charles coming at him with the questions of anger. The old man just stood there, simply smiling, because he knew this would happen. "What the hell is going on with me? Answer, old man." The old man just stood there, laughing. The elder answered with a snicker. "So it finally happens. I'm going to ask this," the old man said. "Do you have any idea where they got the money from?" Charles stood there in fear. "Where?" The old man answered with a story. Some time ago, when I was your age, I was hiking and exploring for a hobby. So this one, so I had been walking. So I was walking in the northern forests of Montana, close to the Canadian borderline. I was hiking through a trail and came across a small cabin, not much bigger than the gas station. I hid behind the bushes because I heard an argument going on. "It's my money. I'm taking it," I heard a man say. A woman was arguing too. "Oh, no, you don't. I spent my entire life savings on that. You're not taking one bit." There was a struggle, but then I heard a gunshot, a woman screaming, and then silence. Charles got huge chills running down his spine. "What happened next?" Charles said with a fearful voice. "I heard rustles from running and saw the man running away. So I walked up to the porch and found a female corpse with long black hair. Her face was one of screaming. Her eyes widened up. I checked the bullet wound. It was right in her heart." Charles had sorrow in his own heart, knowing that a young female was saving so much and then had her life taken from her. I was scared, sad, and baffled at her corpse. But then I expected the unexpected. She jolted up, looking at me. Charles jolted, an ice-cold sweat going down his body. I had a heart attack and fainted, but I heard these words while I was there, faint in sleep. "I want it back." Charles' expression was that of a frightened child. He ran from the man as fast as he could. "But it's mine, and I'm going to keep it," he said to himself, running back home. When he got home, it was evening. His house was dark. Charles flipped the switch, but the light wouldn't turn on. He got out his lighter, found a candle, and set it on the table. He walked to his bedroom, but stopped in the middle of the corridor. He had a mirror at the end of the particular corridor, and he looked closely and saw a dark figure rise over his shoulders. He was startled. He turned around quickly. Nothing was there. His heart was pounding as he turned back around, which he shouldn't have done. Across the room, standing there in the mirror, was not Charles Winster. It was a female, shorter than Charles, and looking right at him with cold, dark, black, empty eyes. She seemed to have blood coming from the top of her head, where her long, dark hair was. Her mouth was open wide. The last thing he saw was the bullet hole, right where her heart was. She was there for only a second. The mirror broke. Charles wet himself. He was never this scared in his life. He felt something scratching his arm. He looked, but there was nothing. Some invisible force was marking his arm. He looked closely once more, and saw the bloody scratches. He noticed that they spelled something. "I want it back," in jagged capital letters. Charles only had to look up a little to see the woman walking towards him slowly. Charles yelled at the figure, "It's mine! You can't have any of it!" But the figure got closer, this time faster. Charles screamed as it got right in his face. Charles Winster learned his lesson that day. The police went to his house and found Charles lying on the ground, dead. But there was something strange about his corpse. The police examination of his body revealed the flesh of his chest was scratched. The scratches read, "I got it back." Next to that was a gaping hole where his heart was. The organ was missing.